front of my car and get it.
Nope, that's okay. We got it.
Without further ado, now that we've seen her excellent film, let's go ahead and bring Joe Gevargizian up here.
Give a round of
applause. Awesome.
All right, who has the first question? Or Jessica?
Did you style a majority of the hair?
I actually did not do the hair on the movie. This is too much to do as directing the movie. What's funny is I just did hair for the first time on my friend's film. After all this time, I've done hair for like 15 years at a salon, but never on a movie. Actually, a good friend, Courtney Jones, did the hair and makeup, which is a huge job on this film because we would go through like Claire's whole emotional journey in one day, shooting out each location at a time, and so it was a lot of resetting her look. Like, that's an unsung hero of like the movie world, I feel like, the hair and makeup, you know.
So,
yeah.
This was a short before it was a feature. I'd never seen the short. What part of this was in the original short?
The short, yeah, it was a short that came out in 2016. It's on YouTube. It's not exactly in the film. I include some of the idea of the short when we expanded it. But it's a lot like the first 15 minutes of the film with the salon scene and then going into her basement and seeing that she's done this before and yeah.
So you're an emotional involvement as a hairstylist. Did that make the writing of the film easier since you put yourself in their shoes a little bit? Does that make the writing easier for you?
Yeah, and it was something I wanted to really show the relationship between clients and hairstylists in this film because it's a unique one and I've not really seen it in a movie, so try to use that as much as we could in different ways. Some people are really close, some people treat you more like the help, and it's like all different types of situations.
Okay, so you made a short to fund it, right? After that, what was the process? You had the short, people knew kind of who you were. Money, how did you get it?
Money is very hard to get. I still am not sure. We crowdfunded part of this film. It was kind of like it greenlit the process for us, but it was still just like one portion of our financing. And I think a lot of it is like just starting the process. Because with your first feature, it was hard for me to get it off the ground because I wanted to have it fully financed and then start making it. Because that's terrifying to not know how you're going to finish the movie. But I learned a lot of first films people just have to do that, have to start making it. And it's, I think, something about starting to make it makes people see like, oh, they're actually doing this. Now I will give like a chunk of money to it. But we have a decent amount of private investors that just even little pieces at a time, we were still getting chunks of money through post-production, still thinking how we're gonna finish paying our composer, things like that, because it's hard, it's very hard to finance movies. That's, I feel like, the thing that keeps us all from doing it more, Even with short films, it's hard. You gotta convince everyone to work on something, for a weekend, for nothing. Or I did kickstart my short too, but that really only gives you can pay people a little bit, but still not what I wish I could pay them.
Can you describe the biggest difference between working with talent for the short compared to the feature, if there is any difference at all?
I don't know if there should be a big difference, but I definitely have learned a lot since the short. We made the short so many years before, and I've made a lot of other shorts in the meantime. And I learned with each film, but I also never had this big of a cast. With a short film, it's maybe 2 or 3 actors at most, and on certain days we have 8 people in a scene. My mind was really kind of melting on those days, honestly. It was hard to focus. At the wedding scene, even just the principal actors is still quite a few people. This is my first time dealing with a lot of that stuff. So it's just takes more focus and I think more preparation. So you're not running around with a chicken with your head cut off, basically.
And how much direction did you give those background actors in that big wedding scene?
That was really, really challenging scene. But I learned through making this feature, I didn't go to film school, that my assistant director team, they handle the background. I mean, I tell them, give them the direction and they direct the background. But the wedding scene specifically was very hard because of the nature of what we're shooting. And we're like, the background is not professional actors, but we want this scene to really work. And so it was definitely very challenging. My AD, Tom, came up with this plan of like a number system, and everyone in the crowd had a different number, so they would get up at different times. You were in the wedding scene. I keep looking at him like, I know this face. I've been staring at it while we're editing it for a year. And so that it would look chaotic, because with people without as much experience, when you give a direction, everyone tends to do the same thing at the same exact time. So that's a challenge. And we're not shooting it at the same time, so they're not really reacting to her taking anything off. And I kind of wanted to keep it a secret to the extras for as long as we could. But yeah, it was a challenge. That day was definitely the hardest day ever. And we should have shot, in a dream world, we could have shot that scene over like 3 to 5 days. On a small budget, it's one day.
So, from when you first came up with the idea of the script, I mean, how long of a process was it before it was finally finalized?
Well, if we go from the concept, because it started as a short, to making the feature, oh my gosh, I have a note from the first, when the concept first came to me, it just said killer hairstylist, is like from 2013. Then we made the short in 15, 16, and then finally shot the feature in 2020. But we were writing the feature length after we shot the short and spent a few years sending it out to production companies trying to get it fully financed. And after a couple of years of that, I just was like, we have to do this now. Because it just seemed like there's still the catch-22 of you haven't made a feature yet, but no one wants to give you that first opportunity. So it's like, we've just got to figure it out. So I rounded up the team from the short film and was seeing if they were basically down to make it on the smallest scale we could, but it still be like the vision we wanted. But yeah, it's a long process. It's almost been like 10 years a part of my life now.
Yeah, interesting. What makes one go this direction with a film? Because I find it interesting. You said it's the stories of being a stylist, right? So you could have taken those stories in a completely different direction, but you took it into this genre. So I'm kind of curious what kind of led you down that path.
Well, I've been a horror fanatic for like my whole life, so I just think like that almost first all the time.
That's fair.
All of my short films are at least horror adjacent, as we say in the horror world. A couple I've made like a thriller and like a horror comedy. I definitely like the more like serious psychological stuff. So it was always a horror idea to me. It was just, first it just came to me like, how is there not a slasher about a hairstylist already? Like in lieu of like The Dentist or Dr. Giggles, that type of stuff. And then I went like a totally serious route. But I love those kind of movies. I joke that like a sequel eventually could be the funny, silly version of it.
You mentioned that Claire holds a lot about you in her character. How do you differentiate that and yourself without, the obvious of the you don't kill your clients?
Well, what's funny is that since the film's come out, I've realized how much more of me is in her than I even was thinking about consciously. Because so many of the viewers have really connected to her anxiety as a character, and I'm an incredibly anxious person. And I knew she was an anxious character, but till the reactions, I didn't realize like this is like the biggest thing people are pulling from it. And it completely makes sense because that's me completely. I don't know, yeah, it's just little things, but when people will ask me about like the dark side of it and joke like, is this a fantasy of like clients that annoyed you or something? I'm like, it's absolutely not. It just really came from, I read Robert Rodriguez's book back when I made my first short film, Rebel Without a Crew, like how he made his first film for like $15,000, or was it $5,000? And just the idea of, I said this at the panel, but like writing around things you have access to, and I was like, just sitting in the salon, I'm like, I need to shoot something in the salon, and then it just kept spiraling from there.
Can you talk more about the psychological aspect of the characters? Because I thought there were some really interesting, just ways she acted that I'd like to hear more about. Like what, like if you had to diagnose her, what would be her crazy diagnoses?
I don't know that I am qualified to do that. Mostly what we dealt with was really just talking about how she felt, and just like a very lonely person that has always struggled with understanding who she is. So, and with Najara Townsend, our lead actress, she was in the short film and read every version of the script and was really a part of like building Claire, and like, because so much of her performance is just like so subtle, just in how she reacts to things, and I like owe that all to this actress. She's just, I don't think that the film would work without that type of a performance. I was so worried about it coming off funny or campy or like those other movies. Like, I feel like there should still be a hairstyles killer movie like that, but it was really important to me that I view her kind of, I guess, like a psychopathic or sociopathic, but she's a little more sociable, but that she's not really like blood hungry. She just does this as like a way to she's trying to fill this void, and she wants to stop as she's trying to do in the film. And I've read a lot about crazy killers, and people that do that, they don't see themselves as one thing, and I don't believe that anyone is one thing, but I'm really interested in just like the layers behind people, especially people we easily like write off as like bad or a monster, because it's never that simple that we want it to be, so that we can just say they're wrong, they're bad, and not understand why this happened. But yeah, that Najara just nailed it, and she would even like journal as the character to get into the places, because it's a really heavy role, and there were days we had to like schedule around like what she's going through emotionally, because it's a lot to ask of an actor to go through all of this. When she would smile in a scene, we'd be like, "You're smiling today for like 1 second. It's gonna be great." I'm not trying to bum everyone out, I swear.
I was just kind of curious on like the gore scenes. How many times do those actually have to be redone, or do they actually work on the first time?
We pretty much like need them to work the first time for the sake of timing and everything. What's crazy is we always prepare to be able to do everything twice. Like the opening scalping, for instance, we have like 2 of them ready, but I don't know why we have like it's so long to do one of to put all that on the actor's hair before you even do the shot is like 4 hours of makeup, and so to reset it would be like, everyone, you're staying for 4 more hours on top of a full day. So it's really nerve-wracking on those days, because you're like, they just have to go right. We did like this sounds very gross, like pull the opening scene, like pull her hair off multiple times. We were able to just like put it right back on. Can't do it like from the top of the scene. But in the short film, it went so perfectly, just first take, that we like knew there's no way it's gonna happen exactly perfect again. we actually had quite a few challenges on special effects, but in the end, they all turned out really exciting if you like that kind of stuff. And we kind of wanted it was our idea that like each kill would show something else off as far as the effects go. We wouldn't like just to be doing the same thing each time it happens, which goes narratively with like what's happening to her. She's like losing it more and more. Each one's getting messier and bloodier and more extreme. So that was the idea.
And I think the visceral reaction you got is a testament
Yes.
to how successful
It's
it was.
exciting. I was saying to Matt, it's exciting to watch it with a not horror fanatic crowd because they're more like closing your eyes and squirming. When the horror fans are like, yes, which is also fun. It's just a totally different thing.
So I have two questions about sound. Since I now am being around more like filmmaking people, so I know that sound is very important in a horror movie. But I guess my first question was with regard to kind of the score, the music score. From what I noticed in its original music score, can it kind of talk a little bit more about that, the importance of it?
Yeah, score in horror films is like so huge. Because we joke that you could just change the music behind the scene and it feels now it's funny or happy with just someone walking across the room. But also that's, I feel like, a cheat. There should be like the visual should make you feel that way as much as the sound. Our composer Nick Ehler, which actually the score you can get on vinyl through our distributors, freaking beautiful collector's vinyl. That's like a dream come true. But he did the short film, and I've worked with him on a lot of films now. But it was exciting to do our first feature, and we really just went through the whole film and really like everything we had. Try to reflect Claire's emotional experience and her perspective. So the music was always on her side emotionally, which we thought was different versus like, this isn't to make you scared, it's to be scared, like hunting versus like being chased in those kind of scenes, so we just kind of went through the whole film talking about it emotionally. I also sent him lots of references of styles, of things I liked. We also knew we wanted to be, he brought the song from the short and kind of just redid it for the feature that became a theme in the film. And he's such a creative composer. He has such a cool ideas. Like, I sent him a lot of scores that were classical from like old psychological thrillers, and he's like, they're a little more elegant, and we always wanted this like distorted elegance for the whole film, and he's like, what if I go for the sound but play it all through these really weird instruments? He has like the weirdest collection of things, and so he just did it all himself versus like hiring out strings and stuff, which we've done before. But yeah, it was interesting. It's interesting to know like when to not have it, so it's not always music playing.
Do you have another one?
And then my second question, I'm Bulgarian, so my husband noticed
Yes.
that one of the studios, the Sounds
Yeah.
studio is Bulgarian, so I had to ask that question.
Well, I thought that was very exciting to have a Bulgarian studio in our credits. What's just a crazy world thing is our other lead actress, Bria Grant, the blonde, she is also a writer-director, and she was in Bulgaria directing for a series on CW, Pandora, and we needed her to do some VO to like some just random stuff to replace, and during post-production, and she's there, so she managed to be like, ask the crew she was working with for a studio that we could like go get her, like, we need to get you in a studio in Bulgaria and like get these breathing. It's so silly, like half the VO I have the actors do is just like breathing and stuff. I don't really like replacing lines unless it's absolutely you would need to, but yeah, that's why that happened.
You're a composer. I might be making a feature, that's why I'm asking these things. Do they only do horror, or are they more, would you know?
He does all kinds of stuff.
Okay, I might ask you his name later.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have another question about the wedding scene. So I know as I was watching it, I was kind Were there any points where you were like kind of heading down that path through the short or the feature where the edits just weren't there and you had to start not like totally over, but go at it from a different angle and it ended up paying off?
Yeah, that scene was really challenging to put together. Because I always assume that a lot of people guess that what's coming specifically, or that definitely something bad is going to happen at the end of this horror movie. And so we really decided, like, once the wedding procession starts, like, to play it out almost in real time, to stretch it out, so you're just like, you already know, but now we're just going to, like, pull it out and make it dread what you already know is coming. So we made it like that, her walk down with the editing look like it's like the aisle is twice as long as it is. It's like she walks all the way down, we cut to the side and walk all the way down pretty much. Did lots of tricks, like we were like, we don't care if people even, this isn't like a mistake, we're doing this on purpose. And but it took a while of us figuring out, especially once the reveal came, how to edit the madness, which is also tons of continuity errors if you watch it closely. People are standing up and you see them stand up like 20 seconds later to create that chaos. And we always like, we worked on that scene for like a couple of weeks, like so much longer than anything else, kept stretching out moments, figuring out where to add more.
I was really struck by the groom's reaction. It kind of seemed like he was disjointed, like he didn't know where to, like he was kind of seemed like he was drunk a little bit because he was felt like he was all over the place.
Yeah.
I felt that was I felt his reaction was really, really, really strong. I really enjoyed it. So.
Thank you. I knew that moment was going to be so big. The actor that had that reaction needed to be really good, or the whole thing was going to fall over. And that was challenging for me because I was like, the rest of the role isn't that big, but this moment is like the biggest moment of the movie. And that was Davis DeRock. He's a Kansas City actor, and he nailed it. One of the first people I thought of to reach out to, and we just auditioned that scene over and over again. I was like, this is hard because I don't know exactly how someone would react to this. I was like, I feel like it's a slow shock of like, what? Like this can't be like what I'm seeing type of a thing.
Am I missing any questions over here?
No, mine's not a guy.
You got one over
So-
there.
There's one back there, and then I'll get back over here. Go ahead.
So the very end of the scene, I kept picturing like she was just going to start maniacally laughing just because I've seen so many more movies. Was that ever in the script, or was that cut out at the very end? Okay, good.
I just always imagined her kind of doing like the opposite, like a sad thing, of this moment of realization, like, even though she always knew, like, this is not gonna go anywhere positive, but it's her like one moment of like being seen finally.
How was it being filmed?
It was awesome, and way more. It was a lot more challenging than I thought. I knew it would be. I'm not trying to be an actor, but I always wanted to be killed in a movie, and this was like a practical thing, a producer thing too. I'm like, well, if I do it, we don't have to hire anyone else, and I'll do it for free. My hair is easy to turn it, like to match. The wig thing is a whole other budget thing. But I also broke my mom's heart making her watch that scene. I really felt bad. I just tried to show her a picture after we first shot it, and she like started crying. I'm like, oh my God, what have I done? She can't watch this movie. I don't know where I came from because neither of both my parents do not like horror at all.
What's the film done for your styling business?
I think it's done well. No, I haven't noticed anyone run away screaming. I have had funny moments with people a lot of people already know kind of what I'm doing, and I've been doing hair for a long time, but I've got some newer clientele in the last couple of years. And when I tell them like kind of slowly, like I make movies and I made a movie about a hairstylist that kills people while I'm doing their hair, and they're like, don't be scared. You're the only one here right now, which is happy before. I'm like, good thing you haven't seen it before, or you might really be worried.
Just don't give them wine.
What are you working on now? And do you think that you'll have, since you've had a lot of success, with this that the money will come a lot easier?
I don't know. It still seems. Well, I've been attached to a couple other scripts that I've been trying to get financed for the last couple of years, and it seems like it's just as hard no matter what the heck you're trying to do. But there are things that written by other directors that have, other writers that have producers trying to get it made that out there. I'm not like helming the whole thing like with this. So I'm right now writing something because it's something I tend to think about ideas forever before I get them out of my head, and then once I do, I'm like, we're making this. It's like a tunnel vision. But it's been taking me forever, and I'm trying to get my S together. I'm also thinking about making a short film in the meantime, just to make something, because even once I write it, it's going to take years to make a feature again. And I just was on set helping produce my friend John Pada's film. It's like a psychological thriller called Black Mold, and I think we'll put it out next year at festivals. That's the thing I did hair on for the first time, so I was just laughing that I've done hair for this long, made this movie, and finally did hair on a movie. But it was very simple hair compared to this. I would not do this type of movie hair. I'm her in the same sense of like, I don't do wedding hair. So that's me too. That came from me.
So I have a great question. So I noticed a lot of really great use of visual storytelling techniques. There's a lot of great use of color and tonality with the lighting and just the production design coming together. How much of that was kind of in your mind when you were planning it out, and how much was collaboration with the cinematographer and production designer?
It was like an evolution. The DP and production designer are so close to me in this project. They were part of the short film, so we kind of started the color palette with the short film, and then we built it from there. It's very collaborative. They're having meetings with me before I've even put that stuff together. And I know both of them are collecting things for her layer for a production designer. She's been collecting little trinkets for the last few years before we got to make it finally. But yeah, we put a lot of intention into all that, and even the camera language, and when we do this, why do we do it, and what does it mean? The zooming or the split screens. Yeah, the colors I love. I try to do that with all my movies, but this was a big thing of how we differentiate Claire and Olivia with opposite color palettes, and really Olivia's was the rest of the world, so Claire would always stand out anywhere she was the idea, and not she's a freak, but that she's just a sore thumb. She's just not wearing the same exact clothes as everyone else. That kind of a thing.
I also noticed that the outside world to Claire was always very cold.
Yes.
In terms of the color palette, and I thought that was really interesting.
We try to kind of do an opposite thing where most serial killers, their places are all cold and blues and grays, and we're this is her story. We're trying to bring you on her journey, on her side. So that was our reasoning behind her world being warm, and also it was a retro color palette. The idea that she's from another time also, but especially her lair where it was only gold really color in there, and our production designer described it to her team as a nest, and it's this is where she feels safe. So it's always surrounding her. We had an awesome team to work with that was really cared about all these little details.
Well, let's give a round of applause.
Thank you. Thank you. It's got the Marilyn Monroe thing happening.
Yeah.
And Claire's palette, too.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing your film with us. And
Thank you for coming, everyone.
Really appreciate it. It was awesome.
Yeah.
One more. All right. Well, if everyone wants to head over to the Norseman, I can start getting stuff cleaned up over here. It's basically down the street and that way.
So at the Norseman, it's on the main floor. We're gonna gather. It's just a really cool bar across the street, a little bit that way.